Hey guys, welcome to Dorkforge. My name's Paul and this is our Tasha's Cauldron of Everything series. Do you want more Tasha's and D&D content in your life? Then hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Now we've gained a lot of new subscribers recently, and not only does it really help the channel out, it's really appreciated by us and we love seeing our community grow. So thanks, but mushing us over, now it's time to grab a flashlight. Those nights are drawing in at this time of year, and it's time for us to take a look at the Twilight Cleric. Now, I apologise if I sound a little flustered or something during this video. I just recorded this video throughout its entirety and it was a pretty good take, and then discovered I didn't hit record. Anyway, moving into the actual subclass. So I've proofread this, I've ran through it. There is no mention of any sparkling in daylight or vampires. So if you click this video expecting a different type of content, I'm sorry to disappoint you, and you can feel free to click away now, or stay, you might like what you hear. So this is a cleric domain that is built around, the transition between light into darkness. Some cleric domains get a little bit esoteric. It's another subclass. Now, we do get a list, and just while we're here, this art is pretty awesome, right? Anywho, we do get a list of example deities that would fit the Twilight Domain. So that's going to be Baldray in Eberron, Celestian in Greyhawk, Dalara in Eberron, Helm and Ilmater in the Forgotten Realms, Mishakal in Dragonlance, Selûne in Forgotten Realms, and the only race pantheon here, Yondala for Halflings. If I mispronounced any of that, I'm sorry. I think I've heard like 2 of those words aloud before, and one of them's Halfling. Anywho, going into our domain spells, and if you're unfamiliar, domain spells are a feature that all cleric domains get at first level, and these are spells that are always going to be prepared for you. They do not count against your number of prepared spells known, well, your number of prepared spells for the day, and they typically cross over spell lists into spells you can't normally get access to. So for the Twilight Domain, we're going to get Fairy Fire and Sleep at first level, and then 3rd level is going to see Moonbeam and Sea Invisibility. 5th level is going to bring us Aura of Vitality and Lehman's Tiny Hut. 7th level's Aura of Life and Greater Invisibility, and 9th level Circle of Power and Mislead. Overall, this is a pretty solid spell list. My only real complaints here both fall under 5th level. With Aura of Vitality, I prefer to see that remain more of an exclusive spell, particularly in the Paladin and Artificer arena. And then otherwise, Lehman's Tiny Hut. Now you might be thinking, what's wrong with that? That's a fantastic spell, and it is. And we have a druid who gets this kind of, twilightish kind of theming with their ability for resting, and that's the Dreams Druid. So I believe that's about 6th level. So this cleric is getting a spell that is in a lot of ways better than this druid's themed ability, and the overlapping themes. If you don't have both a Twilight Cleric and Dreams Druid in your party, that's not going to be an issue. That's just a little something that I saw and I was a little bit, really? Anywho, great spell list overall, and moving on from my petty complaints. Now, this subclass, I will warn you, is bananas. It is the only subclass I have seen overall. Well, I've seen all of them. It's the only subclass I've overviewed in a video so far that overall I felt wow. Like wow. Like really wow. Like that's incredibly powerful. Now, the only thing that's really evoked this reaction from me in video up until this point is going to be the ability for the new Clockwork Sorcerer to swap out their additional spells between spell lists. And this takes that, throws a Kaioken times 5 on top of it, and we end up with what you're about to see. So, bonus proficiencies at first level, which is when we get our domain for clerics. You're going to get proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor. I don't understand why this is considered a melee cleric, but it is. We're also going to gain Eyes of Night, and this gives you 300 feet of dark vision. That's 300. That's not a typo. That's 300 feet of dark vision. Now, we normally, if you're unfamiliar or if you're new to the game, or if you are a Twilight fan that has just happened to stay longer, we normally get 60 feet of dark vision from a race. Occasionally there's a race or an ability like Devil Sight, Drow, or Durga that gives us enhanced dark vision to represent more attunement to the dark, I guess. And that goes up to 120 feet. So 300 feet is absolutely insane. I think before this, maybe the furthest you could go was being like a Drow or a Durga Gloomstalker, which would give you 150. So it's insane. But it doesn't end there. You see, if you use an action, you can share this full 300 feet of dark vision with a number of creatures up to your wisdom modifier within 10 feet of you for an hour. That's so much better than the dark vision spell. And once you do that, you can, you have to finish a long rest or spend a spell slot of any level to do it again. See what I mean? We've just started and already we've hit 100. Now, rounding off our first level abilities is Vigilant Blessing, and that is basically just going to be as an action you touch a creature, and it can be yourself, and you get advantage on your next initiative roll. Now, this benefit lasts until you make that initiative roll, or you use it again, and there is no use restriction. And that's kind of the insane thing here. Like, Tasha's has been so heavy on forcing proficiency bonus as a restricting factor down our throats, and then they give us something like this that feels like it should end with a number of times equal to your proficiency modifier, and then they just deleted it in editing. It's an absolutely fantastic ability, and it rounds out a first level suite of abilities that makes you look at it long and hard and go, yes, I will dip Twilight Cleric. It's just fantastic overall. And moving on, and it just continues. So their Child Divinity option is going to be Twilight Sanctuary. This is going to let you, as an action, present your holy symbol and create a sphere centered on you with a 30-foot radius filled with dim light. Now that sphere moves with you and lasts a minute or until you are incapacitated or die. Are you ready? Whenever a creature, including you, ends its turn in the sphere, you can grant that creature one of these benefits, and I'm going to do these in reverse order for dramatic effect if you're not reading along. You end one effect on it, causing it to be charmed or frightened. You grant it temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus your cleric level. 1d6 plus your cleric level. Now, we have an ability kind of like this in the Artillerist's Protector Cannon, except the range on that is much more restricted. Its use is a lot more restricted. I mean, the Artillerist gets that once per long rest, and then they get to spend spell slots to do it again. Child Divinity is a short rest resource that you get 2 of at like level 5 or 6. And as this is 1d6 plus your cleric level versus, I want to say that the Artillerist is like 1d8 plus int mod. Like, this is going to scale well with you your entire career, even if you do push into like tier 3 and tier 4. This requires no action economy from you. Once you spend your action to throw this up, it's out there and it just happens. And that is absolutely insane. It's an amazingly good ability, and if you have a Twilight Cleric of 2nd level or higher in your game, if that Twilight Cleric has any idea what they're doing, that party should not die. It's a crazy amount of temp HP. Moving on from my poor articulation of that ridiculous ability is our level 6th ability, Steps of the Night, and this is going to be a bonus action. When you're in dim light or darkness, you can give yourself a flying speed. It does call out that is magic, so anti-magic fields and whatnot would apply. That fly speed equals your walking speed, and it lasts for 1 minute. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a short rest. Long rest. I didn't get that wrong the first time. Well, you don't know that, I could tell you whatever. Anyway, now one important thing to know about this ability is that, in my opinion, the clear intent of this ability is to allow you to fly in dim light or darkness as a Twilight Cleric. However, the actual wording of the ability only means that you have to be in dim light or darkness to activate it. There is nothing saying that that fly speed goes away if you then immediately fly out into the sun. Into daylight, the sun, your fly speed will end for different reasons. So that's just something to keep in mind. That is something that you could potentially, take advantage of. That is what it says. But just be prepared if your DM adjudicates, hey, that's not what I think that is, so I'm going to cut that down. Just a fair warning. Level 8, if you're unfamiliar, all clerics at level 8 either get bonus weapon damage or bonus cantrip damage. So level 8, this cleric's going to get Divine Strike, and it's going to get an extra D8 radiant damage on its weapon attacks once per turn. At level 14, that radiant damage is going to go to 2d8. This is where this is more subtle than the other abilities, but basically all of the domains, if you're unfamiliar, all of the domains that get Divine Strike have a different damage type of additional damage. Like, I think the poor Trickery Cleric gets Poison. Radiant is a very good damage type. Not only is it not that commonly resisted or immune, it's also able to shut down some things, and there are some vulnerable creatures to it. So that is a very subtle but nice bump. And then we fast forward all the way from level 8 to level 17 for the final feature, Twilight Shroud. And this is basically just going to enhance your Channel Divinity option whilst creatures are in your sphere, and this is both you and your allies. You gain, you gain half cover. That's nice. I kind of feel like at that level, that's kind of just like, neat. No? That's a nice additional benefit whilst we're getting all of our temp HP. And, this comes in at the same level as casters, including yourself, are getting 9th level spell slots. So, it's not out of line. If anything, as a capstone ability, it's kind of But seeing how strong the rest of the subclass is, I'm going to say that that's totally in line for the subclass itself. So, that has been the Twilight Cleric, and again, wonderful art, insane amount of abilities. I'm still really surprised at just how powerful and effective the subclass is, and it's definitely shot straight to the top of the dip list. I can see a lot of wizards wanting to take this to get heavy armor and then all of those benefits on top of it. Like, can you imagine a Chronology or a War Wizard that gets Dex, Int, and advantage on Dexterity? Initiative? That would be insane. But that's enough of my ramblings about how ridiculously awesome this subclass is. What do you think about the Twilight Cleric? Let us know in the comments down below, and whilst you're there, hit that like button if you like this video. If you want more 5e and Tasha's content, then hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want your next D&D fix right away, then smash one of those boxes popping up on screen now. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time at the Forge.